go with the gold acrylic first of all on the chest plate. So again, I've just got my same normal brush. I put a little bit of gold on it. I'm going to wipe most of the gold off, so it's just showing a little bit left on my pad. And I'm going to actually, again, spin the model round this way. Then I'm going to be just very lightly drawing the brush over the raised chest plate, and it should just pick up on the raised areas of the eagle's wings. Again, if we go over onto this bit, we can neaten that up later on. It's not a big problem. Like that and like that. And then, again, the more strokes of the brush you make, the more gold is transferred. So you just build it up nice and steady. You don't need to slap it on. Just build it nice and steady, and then just flick it. I think there's a little skull underneath there again. Doesn't need to be particularly detailed. We'll just build that up there. Very gently, and I think in a few seconds, that's all we need for that. Let's spin him around. And there we go. Now obviously we've caught a bit on the edge here, but that's not the problem. We're going to tidy that up later, and we will put a little bit of a wash over this as well, which will just neaten and tidy that area up. So there we go, one chest plate done in. Now we're just going to wash the brush, because of course we've been dry brushing, so it can start to do wear and tear just on the tip, but keeping it neat and tidy and washed frequently should keep a nice pointy tip on it, which is what you need for control and neatness. Now we're literally just going to go round these shoulder areas with the gold, just keep it neat and tidy. Again, as we put black on them before, you'll see how brightly the gold picks out. Again, not too thick, not too thin, and where possible, we're still trying to keep that little bit of black in between the areas of colour. It's the same sort of effect that cartoon artists do. If you look at Marvel comics, etc., they're basically black lined, which makes things stand out a bit. And already that's coming on quite well. Again, I tend to move, always have my hand and brush sort of the same angle, so sometimes I'll move the brush around to where I need it, but on the whole it's easier to move the model, so you're always painting down with a firm, controlled stroke. And if you're new to this, you'll pick up your own little tweaks and hacks. But whatever you do, don't worry too much about it. Just enjoy the process. What I would say to everyone is, whichever model you paint very, very first, when you've finished it, keep it somewhere safe. And years down the line, make sure you keep patient 0 on a shelf somewhere so you can see how far you've come, because no matter how good you do a model, you'll always improve every time you do one, and you'll always be pleased at your improvement, and you'll always be able to look back at that and say, wow, what a long way I've come. I think Stu's already got a picture of one of my first models, which I repainted not long after I started painting, and is still not my finest hour, but at the time it was my finest hour. So there we go, there's some gold shoulder pads just quickly blocked in, looking quite neat and tidy there. I think what we'll do is we've got a little bit of some gold details might come nicely on the bolt as well, but we'll do those later. So for the moment, I think we'll leave it at that, and we'll go to our metallic silver, which I happen to have not too far away. So let me just switch paints over, and I think we're just going to do a light dry brush with the same dry brush that we used before. Obviously that's a lot of blue in it, so I'll just give it a good wash out and a good clean. They do stain on the actual bristles on the brush. Don't worry about those too much. Now, again, I'm using a basic layer one. This is one very, very good. This is Ironbreaker, good standard silver. Nothing too fancy. And again, same as we did last time. We're just going to get a little bit on the tip of the brush, wipe some off on the pot, and literally that's no more than that I'm using. You can see that very clearly. Let's see what we get. There we go. Very, very little bit on the tip, and then we're going to get most of it off, because this is going to just flick lightly over the gum and the metallic areas, so we're literally going to go over just like that. Maybe that's a little bit too much. Wipe a little bit more off if it gets like that. Over the barrel. Over that, I say I'm literally just very lightly passing that over the edges there. That's all you need to do for that. Now, a bit on the top there. So it literally looks like it's a very dirty gunmetal, because the black's doing a lot of the work for us. And we're literally just shading it. We might just pass it, a bit bluey that on the edges. Maybe. Again, we're going to have a little bit of a wash at the end, which will help tidy and neaten that up a bit. In the meantime, let's get a bit more of this silver. I'm going to just flick a little on the back here. Just on the underside of the vents. On the top bit. Right, and now we'll neat and tidy that up and do a few more little details. Okay, so neaten that up, just put a little bit of black in any areas where there's a little bit more metallic paint we really wanted, just so you've got the metal bits showing on the edges rather than on the flat areas there. Now, I've got a little bit of a grey going on here. I'll just put a little bit of grey and just edge around his little pouch at the back. I'm literally going to put the edge of the brush literally almost edge on to where we need and just run it along like that, so it gives a very, very, very sharp edge highlight. Now, of course, that's a method that you can use around all the armour plates of a Space Marine or any armoured warrior if you wished, but it does take rather a long time to do. Effect is very good, but we're aiming for quick and straightforward here. I'm just going to sort of blend that in a bit by just pushing some of the colour a bit out, just to make it look like the pouch is not entirely square. And there's a little bit of pouch here. I'm going to just put some on the bottom, just to bring out the edge of the cylinder that it is. There we go. That looks like it's got a little pouch on the back. Now, what I might do, just for details here, I'm going to put, you can, of course, it's a very, very small drill and drill out the end of the gun barrels, but I'm just going to do this with a little circle of black. Not quite as good, but it gives us the effect that we want. And if you're not confident with using very, very small drills on very, very small miniatures, that's probably the better way to do it. Now, I think where we're up to now is picking out some final details and then maybe giving it a wash and it's ready to go. And then we'll do the base. The base, we're just going to dry brush a nice grey colour to pick out all these bits of old Imperial Cathedral that have fallen on into rubble, and then we should be done.